Gopala Astrology Channel, where the science meets astrology for common man's understanding. Subscribe and stay tuned to this channel for continued astrological updates. Namaskar. Welcome to Gopala Astrology Channel, ladies and gentlemen. And today we are going to have an interesting guest from Mumbai by name Mr. Arun Veeramoney. He is a very active member of ISKCON, and he has been doing a great service to mankind, and he has a very great purpose in life to spread the Krishna's consciousness to one and all. Okay, so we are going to discuss one of the charts that he has got as an application of Greenstone Lobo's concepts, as well as some palmistry lines that I'm going to introduce to you guys today. Okay, and without wasting any amount of time, I would like Mr. Veeramoney to introduce himself to all of you guys, and with the help of his blessings, we will proceed with our today's video. All right, Mr. Money, please go ahead, introduce yourself.
Thank you, Gopala. At the outset, let me congratulate you for the wonderful job that you're doing in Vedic astrology, and may Lord Krishna shower his blessings on you, so that you can do even further benefit for humanity at large. It was nice knowing you through Facebook. I'm basically, I'm in spiritual life now. I've been for about 20 years in corporate life. And just quickly to summarize, I am now full-time devoted to spiritual activities.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Me and my wife together, we are, of course, connected with the ISKCON movement. And we are engaged in spreading the message of Lord Krishna throughout the world. In fact, that is our life's mission. And I have some interest in modern scientific astrology. That's how I got connected with. To be very frank, I don't really follow the Vedic astrology.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Somehow I'm following the, the modern scientific astrology as propounded by Mr. Greenstone Lobo.
Wow, he's also my personal guru. And
in fact, he is the medium who got me connected to you, because when I saw one of your videos on Facebook, I saw below a comment from Mr. Greenstone Lobo, affectionately called by me as Greenie. So I saw Greenie's comment there, appreciating you for the research that you made on his research.
It is his greatness, sir. He replies to you.
And you also replied saying that on Guru Purnima day, you got this blessings from him. Wonderful. So immediately I got connected to you through that connection. So that's how I got you.
Wonderful, and, wonderful. Everything happens for a reason, it's a divine grace.
Yeah, nothing happens by chance, but I say it is always ordained by the Lord.
Yes, and, I strongly believe so.
And to make it a little more interesting, we share the same mother tongue.
Oh, yes. With the blessings of the God. Let's start our today's session.
Yeah.
And I understand that you sent me certain, let me share my screen here. All right. Yeah. So we will try to get into the details of the chart that you had given, and also some of the, I must have saved it in my desktop. So let's go to the husband's horoscope part. Okay. So this is an unanimous chart, just you have taken this in random. And this is going to be the husband's charts we are going to discuss today. And the wife's chart, we can do that perhaps if the time allows today, or we can do it in the next session as well. Okay, so let's purely apply the Greenstone Lobo's concept for our people, our viewers also, to make it very clear. And I also got a hand picture, let's try to link up that later. Excellent.
Okay.
So this person happens to be born on 15th of December, 1956. So I'm going to enter this in Jagannath Hora. Okay. So the reason is, it will give me the classical part of this person's chart as well, so that we will apply it for the Dasha and Antardasha. I will tell you what is the meaning of that. Okay. So let's put 15 December 1956. Okay, I always use Jagannath Hora for classical Indian astrology. It's a wonderful platform. It's available for free. You can download it, and you can always get into more details easily. So this is 1956. So this person is born in 1956, and the time is 1:03 p.m. in the, is it early morning AM? 1:03, early morning AM, New Delhi.
Early morning. 1:03 is AM.
Yes, 01:03. So we should put that. And then seconds, it can be 1 second, not so critical. Important is the gender. And then New Delhi is the place that you have given to me. Okay, so let's do that. It comes to India, New Delhi. So when I get this chart, so you can see this is the classical Indian astrological chart. I will not go to Navamsha. I'm going to do what is known as Bhava Chalita. Okay, this words may be a little new to you. It doesn't matter. I will explain to you what it is. Bhava Chalita chart is very important to see the position of planets from Lagna or the ascendant. Okay, these two are exactly the same. Sometimes what happens, the Lagna, the person must have been born towards the end of the Rashi, because 0 to 30 degree is the span of every Rashi. And sometimes if Lagna happens to be biased towards the end, then what we do, we take that as the center or mean part, and then we will take it as 15-15 on the plus and minus side of it and build a Rashi. And that is what is called Bhava Chalita, because Bhava is getting Chalitam. So Bhava means house, and it is getting moved. And that's what is this below chart here. Okay, so let me decrease the font so that you can see what it is written there. It is written clearly as Bhava Chalit. Okay, so this is the one. Now I have classical Indian astrology chart, which just tells me that Jupiter is in the Lagnam or the ascendant, and our Greenstone Lobo chart as well, which says that it is also having Jupiter in the first house, and it's a green Jupiter. So in Greenstone Lobo's concept, the planets which are shown in the green color, they are the exaltation planets. That means the planets which are in Uchasthanam. And the planets which are shown in the red ones, they are the ones which are in debilitation. And then the planets which are black, they are neutral. They are neither good nor bad. But of course, we can enhance their goodness by wearing certain gemstones and stuffs like that. Okay, doing certain puja or chanting certain mantra related to that particular planet. That can be done. Now, this person is having a very benevolent planet Jupiter that comes to his Lagna, and it happens to be a Kanya Lagna. Kanya means, I'm going to put it in English as well. For you, it is Virgo ascendant. I understand you follow more of modern terms, right? So Virgo ascendant.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I always follow the modern English terms.
Okay.
Like I won't follow Shinnam, but I follow Leo.
Excellent. No problem. So I will be trying my best to convert both. I will put mostly the English names so that you can follow it more easier. So the ascendant is Virgo, and according to Greenstone Lobo, the ruler of this first house is planet Y, and Indian terminology for planet Y is Vishwakarma. So that means this person is a very methodical personality, and his Vishwakarma happens to go to the 4th house, and it is in its fall house, right? So Lagna Lord goes to the 4th house, and 4th Lord Jupiter, who is ruling Sagittarius, comes to the 1st house. And we call this as Parivartana Yoga. See, in the classical astrological chart, if you just see this, you will not see that Parivartana Yoga, because the planet XYZ is not there here. So this is a totally new concept that was given to us by Greenstone sir, right? So this is a wonderful thing which is not seen here, but it is seen in this chart, right? So what happens with the Parivartana Yoga? First Lord goes to the 4th house, means this person is extremely dedicated to his mother, okay? And he has learned a lot of good values in his life from his mother. And mother must be really a teacher for him, because Jupiter himself represents the teaching, teacher. And this is a wonderful thing. And this person is a very patriotic personality about his own homeland. 4th house represents also the homeland, and a lot of values he got it from mother. But you must understand, this planet Y is in red. That means the initial part of his life, the first 35 to 40 years, he must have gone through a lot of ups and downs, because Lagnadipati gets weak in the 4th house in his chart. So he has to go through a lot of ups and downs, and even See, what is fourth house? It is Sukham, right? So fourth house represents happiness, family, and Sukham. So what happens that domestic happiness will have problem, and there could be a lot of financial crisis also going on in the family at the time of birth of this man. Okay, and then you can see the Sun, Saturn, Rahu. They are in the same house. We always see the position of parents, especially the father through sun and mother through moon. So look at the positions of these two planets. The sun is engulfed with two Papa Grahas. One is the Saturn, another one is Rahu. Okay, so sun is really engulfed here. And of course, Venus getting conjunct with sun is also not a very significant thing in the horoscope. So the sun, it shows that the father must have really not been a wealthy person. So this family must be a lower middle class family, and the sun is with Rahu, so that the financial support from the father would have gone in the early stage of life. Okay, so you can see the degree of association. Sun is at 29 degrees and Rahu is at 4 degrees. Okay, there is a big gap there. So luckily, it is not coinciding on the same. If Rahu and Sun and Ketu and the Moon, they all align together, it forms an eclipse. We call it as Grahana. So luckily, this person is born before Grahana. You can always see the Moon is in Aries. It is supposed to come to Taurus later. And then when all the 4 planets align together, there will be an eclipse. Okay. So still the effect of eclipse will be there on this person, and he would have really had tough time in his young childhood. He wanted to do a lot of things, but the support from the father was minimum. And look at the position of Moon. It goes to 8th house, right? So Moon in the 8th house makes mother to work very hard. She takes the role of the father and pushes very hard the family. She's the one working as the single engine of this family. So really this person's mother must have worked very hard and brought up a lot of good culture in this person. All right, that is what I can see. And look at the great planet Pluto. Okay, I'm analyzing one by one. I told about Lagna now, and I told about the parents. Now we have to start Greenstone's Lobo's way of analysis. We have to give maximum importance to planet Pluto, right? That's what we learned from his concepts. And I also personally practice that. And you can see that the ruler of the 3rd house is Pluto, and it goes to the 12th house. And look at the special effects of Pluto there. So Pluto's angle is very important for this person. So this person has 7 degrees 9 minutes Leo for the Pluto. That means this is eagle avatar of Pluto. Are you familiar? Do you remember the
Yes,
3
very
avatars
much.
of Pluto?
Yeah.
So it will be the eagle avatar until the year 1957, perhaps.
Yeah.
Okay. So
From
just
October, from October 57 onwards, it's Grey Lizard.
Yes. Then until 1962, it's called the Grey Lizard patch, and many people who are born in this patch must have gone through lots of ups and downs, because they are paying back for their karmas in an accelerated pace. Okay, and the third patch is actually called Scorpio. Scorpio part of avatar of Pluto. And those people will get a lot of names and fames, and they are the ones who are stinging type of people. You do something harm to them, they will sting you back, like a scorpion, right? You touch a scorpion, it will sting you back. That's what it is. And these concepts were beautifully explained by Greenstone Lobo'S, and I have seen this practically happen in the consultations that I do. All right, so we give a lot of importance to this, and now this person has the eagle avatar of the 3rd lord. What does the 3rd house represent? 3rd house represents self-efforts. Okay, it also represents siblings. It represents communication. It also represents your bravery, right? Whatever you do with your hands. 3rd house is hands, basically. When you see the Kala Purusha Kundali, if you can match the 12 zodiac signs with the human body, the body portion of arms is the 3rd house, right? So the lord of that 3rd house sits in the 12th house. That means The hands go to the legs. 12th house represents the feet. Okay, feet is the last part. That means the Pisces in the Kala Purusha Kundali is the last part of the zodiac, and we call that also as the Moksha Karaka zodiac or Moksha Karaka Rashi. So when this type of a powerful Pluto, which is deeply exalted in the 12th house, it will make this person to accelerate his work towards his moksha. So 99% of the times I can say, whenever this type of combination happens, this will be considered as the last birth for this man, because he would have exalted. See, always Pluto takes 250 years to complete one round, and this soul must have really entered this body after 250 years. It would have waited for a long time to take this shariram, and it must have gone through a lot of ups and downs, and at the same time become highly spiritual, because 12th house finally makes you a little bit shatter in your life, so that all your devotion goes to the 12th house, right? So that's what Pluto is doing for this man, and it also aspects his 6th house. See, I'm adding a lot of classical astrological concepts to what Greenstone Lobo has taught us. So I will also consider only the one aspect, that is the 7th house aspect. Sitting in the 12th house, it sees the house of 6th house. 6th house represents your computation. It represents all the diseases that we get, all the troubles that we get in our life. So that's what it is aspecting. So third lord sitting in the 12th house aspecting the 6th. So there is a connection between 3, 12, and 6. So what does it mean? So 6 and 12 are called trig bhavas. The bhavas which gives a lot of hindrances in life. So when bad planet sits in the bad house, we say it is Raja Yogam. That means the third lord is a trig bhava lord sitting in the 12th house will always result in good things happening. And that good things is happening related to what? 12th house. And 6th house, it is aspecting and also minimizing the problems. That means this person is going to have a weaker body, okay, not a very, this one, but he becomes healed very fast because the Pluto aspects it, sitting in the eagle avatar. So the minor problems, health problems that we get, we call it as acute diseases, not the chronic ones. The chronic ones has to be seen through 8th house, whereas the acute diseases which can be cured, okay, it will give you pain, no wonder, but it will be cured through the 6th house lord, okay, and we will see what is the 6th house lord also very, very soon. Now, talking about Pluto, what else Pluto can do? He is going to give him moksha. He is going to challenge his competitors, okay, and then this man is born to have his last birth. That's what Pluto is signifying, and he may not have very good relation with his siblings. Okay, third house is all about siblings, and we have Rahu there, we have Saturn, and even the lord of that is Pluto. So definitely this person will not have very good relation with his siblings for sure. Okay, so if at all this person is listening to this conversation, I'm sure he would agree with this point. Okay, are you, by chance, do you know this person, Mr. Arun?
No, I just got it from one of my friends.
Okay. So that is the point here. So after analyzing the Pluto, what we are going to see now next is about Neptune, which is extremely important planet. So it is the lord of 7th house sitting in this 2nd house. Okay, Neptune represents a highly spiritual planet. Okay, it's a highly spiritual. It's an illusion. See, when we talk about a planet Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, Uranus represents Lord Brahma, who is the creator, and Neptune represents Vishnu. He is the Mayavi, right? He is the illusion. We cannot reach him so easily. You have to work very hard spiritually to realize the Vishnu or Krishna. And then planet Pluto represents Mahakal Shivji, right? So he is the one who constructively destroys certain places where he sits, right? So that's very important to understand Pluto. Now, Neptune is beautifully placed for this man It is there in the second house of family. Okay, so that means the spirituality comes to him naturally, and this is a very deeper spiritual aspect. Okay, Neptune is not normal spiritual thing. It's very deep, intense. Like he may treat God as his own father, for example, or a family. Right? So the seventh house Lord connection with this means, in the second house means, it's also a very lucky situation wherein his wife or the spouse also will support this person towards the spiritual journey. Right? So both of them, seventh house is spouse and other people that we face in our life, and they all associate with this gentleman and comes to the second house. Okay, so Neptune is very powerful. Pluto is very powerful for this person. So that means his spiritual karmic account is very high. So he is reaching perhaps the threshold in his life so that he may not have to be reborn again. This is another indication, right? So three good planets, one is the Jupiter, the Neptune, and the Pluto. All three are in green for this man. Okay, that is the analysis for Neptune. And one more thing I will tell you, wherever Neptune sits, the negative part of the Neptune, I'm saying, the Neptune will give something called addiction, right? So have you heard about this? I don't know how much you know about addiction part that Neptune gives, because it's already an illusionary planet. It's an illusion. Okay, we all seek that, and the seeker is very difficult to seek unless you are really devoted towards that seeking, right? So now Neptune happens to give certain kind of an addiction to this person related to second house. Okay, that means you are very addicted to the family. You are very much devoted to the family. You want to always see the best in your family. You get my point? You value your family. So that's what is going to happen to the person wherever the placement of Neptune is there. And this is, he may even suffer from this process. People may even misunderstand him, and he may not have that happiness which he is working for, right? The same Neptune, imagine, I will give you another example. Imagine this Neptune was there in the 8th house for him, right? What is 8th house? 8th house is inheritance that he's supposed to get from his parents or parents-in-law, for example. If Neptune goes there, this person will be in an illusion, and he loves his parents and parents-in-law a lot. And he thought that some inheritance may come to him. But at the end of the day, something will happen to those parents or parents-in-law of that person, and they forget to write the name of this man in the will or something like that. After they pass away, this person will realize, oh, I lost it. Okay, but he may not care for it. But as this is a highly spiritual planet, he may not care about it. But he will get very much addicted to the love of them. You know, in the same way, this person, whoever you have given me, is having an addiction to the family to do the best to them. You know, but the same thing he may not get return from him. Even the siblings also may not give back that happiness that this man deserves. Okay, that is the negative part of the Neptune. So far, are we good?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Excellent, excellent. So let's analyze the next one. That is the Uranus, right? So Uranus, we are going in that reverse order, or maybe even Planet X we can take. Because Planet X happens to be in a very, very good place for this person. Let's take Planet X first. It is 9th Lord placed in the 9th house for this man. In a classical astrology chart, if you see, you don't even have this, right? So people will look at this man and they will say, if you look at this chart, they will say Ketu in the 9th house. That means this man will have very bad relationship with the father and misunderstanding with the father, and and things like that. They will say and stop it there. Whereas our classical astrology, our Greenstone Lobo'S concept goes beyond that, and then it puts Planet X there for him. Let us see at what degree it is. Planet X happens to be in 20 degrees. It's almost in the middle of the Rashi. So that will have a lot of big balam also. And Planet X being the 9th Lord in the 9th house gives a lot of strong belief system in him. That means once he believes something, he will stick towards it. He will be very stubborn towards his belief system, always. Okay, 9th house is the house of higher learning and things like that. That's the original Karakatva of 9th house is given by planet Jupiter. guru, right? So he happens to develop that trend that he may start becoming the guru in the later half of the life. See, one good observation I personally have made after applying Greenstone Lobo's concept for last 3 years is that the outer planet starts giving the results in the second half of the life more so. Okay, I don't know, because of their distance from planet Earth or what, I do not know. So we have to assume that way. More and more research is required. But in my personal observation, I see always that the people get the result of outer planets in the second half of life. That means it is something similar to what we say in our classical astrology, Navamsha Kundali. There is something called Navamsha Kundali, which starts giving results in the second part of the life. Okay, so that's the same thing must be happening to this man. Okay, he didn't have much of financial resources in the first half of the life, but the second half of the life, he started getting a good job, and he started saving money in one way or the other. And then whatever he had lacking, support from the father, 9th house represents father also, and he got himself, supported himself in the second half of life. That means the journey after 35 is much better for this man in terms of financial position and also in terms of luck. Okay, so even the luck also, the luck factor is only seen through the Bhagya Sthanam. 9th house represents Bhagya, and Taurus is the Bhagya Sthanam. So he must have got into some savings and stuffs like that can help for the rest of his life. Especially after 35, the period between 35 to 50. Easily, I can say 35 to 45. So that must have been given from planet X. And why I am not so precisely talking about the time period in which the planet X can give result, because still there is a lot of research work that needs to be done in terms of dashas and antardashas, right? So I can only go back to my classical astrology chart here. If you look into this, there is something called dashas and antardashas. So for all the navagrahas which are originally defined by our sages, we can have this planetary time period, which is totally coming to 120 years, starting from whatever the nakshatra in which the person was born. So this person happens to have been born with Shukra nakshatra. Okay, so the nakshatra also, I can tell you what it is. He is born in Bharani nakshatra. Okay, so whenever the person is born in Bharani nakshatra, depending on the padam, this is the padam, right? The third padam, that means he has exhausted. Bharani nakshatra gives 20 years of Shukra dasha if a person is born in the first padam. So this person is already exhausted 2 padams, and this is the third one. So that means he will have 10 years of Shukra dasha. That's what is being shown here. For example, they will show this as 1946 to 1956 will be Garbhagatam. It will be over. Even though it is showing as full 20 years, he would have not enjoyed the 20 years. It would have finished. And then he got this 10 years of Shukra dasha, right? So like that, this is a cyclical pattern. After Shukra, it comes Surya, then Chandra, and so on and so forth. That's what is happening. So for this person, current time period, if you want to see, 2007, right? He's going through Guru Mahadasha. I'm going to click that. This is Guru Mahadasha. And if you see, these are called Antaradashas. So AD and MD, these two are very important. Mahadasha is the main planetary time period. So Jupiter normally gives 16 years of Mahadasha, right? In that, he is going through the sub-period of, now we are 2022, he's going through sub-period of Rahu, right? Rahu is going to give him some health issues and stuffs like that, as Rahu is placed in the 3rd house of Scorpio. Sorry. Scorpio happens to be the debilitation sign for Rahu. He doesn't do well in Scorpio, whereas he gets exalted in the opposite house of Taurus. So since Rahu is not well placed in the horoscope.
Gopala, can I interrupt you here?
Yes, please.
The Rahu is shown in black. So how is it debilitated in Scorpio? It is in black.
Yes. Let me answer you that question. It's a beautiful question you asked. So according to Greenstone Lobo's concept, it is neutral, right? It is neither good nor bad. But classical astrology says the Rahu doesn't do well in watery sign, especially Scorpio. right? It does, it gets exalted in Taurus, Bhumi Tattva sign, and it does, and for the Ketu, it is opposite. So Ketu's exaltation point is Scorpio, and okay, it shows that it is running out of time. We will connect back again in case if this cuts off, okay? So now, the Ketu is usually exalted in Scorpio and Rahu is in the Taurus. So for this person, it is opposite. For some reason, it is not shown in Greenstone Lobo'S concepts. Okay, so that's the difference. So I have been practicing this for many years, and I know that it gets debilitated here. So why I'm connecting the debilitation point of Rahu here, because he is going through Mahadasha of Jupiter, which is very good. The fourth lord is the main ruler of his Mahadasha. And Antardasha, this person must have got into some health issues in the first quarter of 2021. Okay, which is going to finish. And when you go back to Vinchotri Dasha periods, you can see that after Guru, it's going to be sunny for him. So Saturn is going to take over for 19 years. And this will be a great period for him because Saturn happens to be his fifth lord. Okay, fifth lord always gives, see, functionality we have to see. Not just, I'm using classical astrology for you to understand. Fifth house lord always does very well. The functional benefits are first house, fifth house, and ninth house. Any of these three lords are going through the Dasha or Antardasha, he will always give good results for the person. Okay, so this short period of health issues and stuffs like that Rahu has instilled for this man, it's, sorry, where are we? We are in Jupiter Mahadasha and Rahu Antardasha. So after 2023 second quarter, this man is going to become much healthier. He's going to recover from certain illnesses that he may be going through. Okay, that's what is clearly seen as the end of Rahu Dasha happens. Now, so why I'm connecting all these things is because I also got a picture from you, right? This is the same person? This is the picture from the same person.
Yeah.
So I got this one. Sorry, again?
It's the right palm of the same person.
Okay, maybe we presume that this person is a right-handed person. Always we have to take the active hand of the person, okay, for analysis. Now,
yeah, this is the right hand.
This is the right hand. So what we need to basically analyze is this. So this is the lifeline, and this is called the headline or logical thinking line. And then this is the heart line. So the most significant point, I'm going to mention it here. And from there we will carry on. Okay, so there is I will always try to give certain theoretical background always before I tell my clients anything important. So I would have saved certain basic things here, and I'm going to just explain to you what it is. Okay, so these are the three basic lines. As I told you, this curvy line is called the lifeline, and this is called the headline, and this is called the heart line. So you can also see there are numbers written on the lifeline here. Okay, and the same thing here. There is another line which goes from the bottom of the palm. This is a hypothetical situation. It can go from any part. Okay, so this line goes all the way from here up to the base of the mid finger. We call this as Shani Parvatam. So this line is going to terminate at the mount of Saturn. Okay, so why I am taking this line and then the numbers written on this is this. Please understand, the numbers are written here in the multiples of 7 as a rough guideline that the age of the person is indicated in these positions of this man. That means 7th year is represented here, 14th year, 21, 28, etc. In the same way, when you talk about this line, which goes from the base of the hand all the way, when it cuts the horizontal headline, right? So the person would have become 35 years of his age. Okay. So in the same way, when the line goes further, it goes and meets the heart line. Okay. This heart line is the line which shows the way we emotionally think. Right. So that is what is 56th birthday of the man. So it's very clear whenever I do some career analysis, I will always look into this line and also its relative position between 35 and 56. So then we will get a lot of information. Okay, so if you, did you get my point here? Why I showed you this slide? right? So using this concept, using this theory, let's try to put and apply that to this man's hand, right? So look at this lifeline here. So it has been very strongly broken here, okay? And you can see a very strong disassociation of the lifeline. So it has started like this. It is supposed to go in this direction. It got cut off, right? So that means this person must have met a very emotional situation, and that has happened to him almost, this was very bad. It got disengaged, and then he started the new way of life itself, and then he has been hit.
Sorry, 1 minute. When he got disrupted at this point, the earlier point, what would have been his age then?
Exactly. So how to do that is this. So when I zoom in, you can see my chart clearly. So when you associate this line with this timeline that I showed you, right? So you can see this is around anywhere between 18 and 21 years of age, perhaps. So he must have had a very strong problem in his family life, and he must have really got into problems. So sometimes I have personally seen my clients showing this type of form. They would have even attempted for a suicide. I'm just not to scare anyone of the audience. It happens because it's reality. I'm sharing you my own personal experience. This man must have gone through a lot of tough time, and then he shifted back. That Pluto is going to give him back that make and break. And then he got into a lot of strong belief system that he has to work hard and come back in life. And he has got back, and then you can see his lifeline is like this. As it proceeded well, there was a lot of interfering lines here. Again, whenever there is a line which cuts the lifeline, we say that there will be some kind of a disappointment for the man. And then as it proceeded further, there was a huge disappointment. So this age is really the turning point. I will tell you why. Because you can look at the fate line of this man. Okay, this fate line didn't start from the base of the palm, so there was no much strong foundation from the father in terms of finance. So he acquired his own skill. Very hard he worked, and he got some skill set from which he can earn his money. Maybe he must have done some simple graduation or some basic course. And from there, he must have gone through his life, right? He has worked very hard. And then there was a time between, see, this is connecting to this. Okay, he must have lost his job, or he must have changed completely, as this skill set gave him some job, and he was going through the continuous source of income, and then it got disengaged, and then he got into another job before 35. So it become big financial issues. That means between his 28 and 35, he was really going through a lot of financial crisis until he got into a better job, right? So he completely changed. And then you can see this line becomes very faint. And then as it goes further, you can see that line completely stops from his heart line, right? Something must have struck his heart. He must have got a disappointment in life as this comes and breaks off this line. So in between these two breakages, he must have saved that money. And that is where Planet X must have come into picture. That means between his 37 and probably 45. Okay, I'm not very sure about it. It could be even 46, 47. But in this phase, he has saved enough amount of money. And then after this, he said, I am not going to work anymore. There is no more connection of this continuous source of income line. So there must have been some instance that must have happened just before he must have reached 47, 48, perhaps, that he must have had his major transformation period. And that is what is this one. Okay, so this also indicates the same, and this also indicates the same. Maybe I will take a screenshot, and then I will write it more precisely. That will make sense. Okay, so what I'm trying to convey here is this. Let me take a pen here. Okay, it's a red. Okay, so can you see a line hitting this continuous source of income line, right? And you can see this one. I'm exactly pinpointing these two. So these are the two major transformation of this man. Of course, earlier he had one more transformation here. He must have changed his job. So between this period to this period, right, he must have got into a very simple job. Or not a very high paying job. He had a lot of expenses to an income and expense ratio must have gone up and down, and somehow he managed. A very, very dutiful person. Okay, he didn't change his line totally. He was very loyal to the place where he must. The real disappointment for this person, it happened for a reason, right? So perhaps after this heartbreaking event must have happened for this person, he must have gone completely transformed. Okay, so that's what the palmistry line says. And then further, he may not intend to continue into the normal day-to-day routine of, going to an office and then he must have even taken a retirement kind of a thing. Okay, much before. So this is what is the analysis that I was trying to say. And this period, in between these two breakups, he must have saved money and he got some good name and fame in his workplace. All right. So that's what we need to see there. And then let's try to go back to the horoscope chart here to analyze certain other positive points in this chart. So we were talking about 6th house lord, that is Uranus, right? So Uranus gets connected. There is 6th lord getting connected to 11th house. So what does it mean? So he must have really earned his income through a very routine type of a job. 6th house represents the day-to-day routine type of activities that we do. So it's a service also. So this person must have worked in a service sector. That means he must have been doing a service, and then that is where, and then he would have done it in a very innovative way. The Uranus is the planet of innovation, right? It represents Brahma himself. It goes to the 11th house. So that means always this person will have some kind of money all the time. He will not run dry. So Uranus will not keep him dry off. Oh, I have no money. It may not happen. So money-wise, it is there, it's required. That may not be his priority also. Because 6th house is all about service. Serving others is a high priority for this person. That's what it is. So the connection of this, and then it is in the neutral state, it's neither good nor bad. That means it must have given him a middle-class life. The income must have come to him, which is sufficient enough to stay afloat. That's what Uranus has done for him. So Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus, all three we have covered in a way. And let's try to understand planet Y. What is the effect of Lagnadipati? That means the Lord of Ascendant going to the 4th house, but in a red situation, tall house. So this man may not have domestic happiness all the times. Okay, this person's thing is life is not to enjoy the life. He is here to work hard and clear all his past life deeds. Look at who is there in the 5th house of past life deeds also. See, Purva Punyam is seen in the 5th house. 5th house is all what we bought from our past life. So we have Chiron there. So Chiron is the lord of the 11th house in its fall house. Okay, so that means he has 11th lord means it's a lot of incoming gains. It is supposed to give you a lot of incoming gains, and it is seeing its own house also. So it has made this person to wait for a long time in the soul form to come to the bodily form. Okay, so he has acquired, and this Purva Punyam lord is actually Saturn, the owner, the dispositor of the 5th house is Saturn, and he goes to the debilitation, right, in the 3rd house. So there is a connection of 11th house, 5th house, and then the 3rd house. What does it mean for a common man to understand, like me and you, right? So it shows that this man's Purva Punyam is getting cleared in this birth. He didn't bring a lot of good karmas from the past life, but he is going to pay off everything in this birth, and then he gets the acceleration towards moksha, right? So that means material gains will be just sufficient enough to lead a normal middle class family. He won't be a Bill Gates or an upper middle class personality. That's what it means. Okay, so Chiron is basically the healer, and also it represents Bhumi, the landed properties and things like that. So since it is there in the 5th house, okay, being the lord of 11th house, it would have given him a property of his own for sure. But he is not very much interested in all these matters now. It is just required for the sake of being there. Okay, this person may not be behind it. He may not like to enjoy those properties, and you don't want to acquire all that and things like that. And then fifth house also represents education. See, the high potential was there for this man to learn a lot of things because of Guru in the first house, but he must have ended up in a normal education, very normal, simple degree kind of a thing. Okay, so it may not be a very high-paying job type of a degree he must have got. Why? Because the Chiron becomes red there in the fifth house of education. Am I making sense here? So far, are we clear?
Yeah, I was just contemplating on one point in terms of Greeny's teachings.
Yes, please.
Chiron is the 11th lord, which is debilitated in the 5th house in Capricorn.
Correct.
Does that signify anything? 11-5 debilitation?
It definitely, that's what I'm saying. The incoming gains is given by Chiron, basically. All the incoming gains for this person must have come from Chiron, which is the 11th lord. But he himself, the lord himself, is sitting in the Purva Punya Sthana of 5th house, right? So,
In a debilitated form.
That means he didn't bring a lot of good karmas from the past life so that he can enjoy the material benefits in this present life. See, I'm a person who is linking the modern astrology concept with the traditional astrology as well. So that is where I'm bridging both the gaps. Since I have practiced 25 years of classical astrology, automatically that comes to me in my brain first. But I am trying to amalgamate what Chiron can do, because I never learned what is Chiron before, but now I'm very much into it. And Chiron is a very beautiful centaur, which also gives Bhumi. I have seen a lot of people who have got an exaltation in Chiron in their horoscope. They would have acquired properties. They have the Bhumis. And if the Chiron is in the 12th house in exaltation or normal black condition, they would have the property in the foreign land, right? So properties are related to Chiron, 4th house, and then healing aspect as well.
Yeah, but in this case, how can we say that this person had properties, because Chiron is debilitated in the 5th house?
Yes, beautiful question. I wanted really you to ask this question. If you remember our discussion, I said the debilitation means we should not take it as 0. So you imagine a scale 0 to 100, okay? 0 to 100. The debilitation planet will give you 50, okay? 50. And then the exaltation planet gives you 100. And then there is something in between called Mula Trikona Rashi, which is from the classical astrology. You may not understand it, but still, Mula Trikona Rashi gives 75% of the results. So now, the debilitation planets, am I going to get screwed up completely because I have a debilitated planet? Let us say a person asks. The answer is absolutely no. Why? Because the debilitation itself has that 50% base value. There is nothing less than that 50%. And then, the first half of the life, the person will not get any benefit from that particular planet. But second half, it will get that 50% benefit. Am I making sense here? Imagine 0 to 100, 0 to 50, that 50% of good results of Chiron is going to be received in the second half of life.
I was asking this question in the light of Greeny's teachings. He said, a debilitated planet will only give debilitated results, and an exalted planet will give you exalted results.
Oh, maybe I may have to do more research on that. But in my own practical experiences so far, I have found that the debilitated planet also gives at least 50%. It won't be 0. There is nothing called 0 at all. It will give you some action, but the debilitated planets, you should try to avoid them, because they are not going to give you benefit in the first 35 years. It will make you suffer. All the suffering happens because of the debilitation effects, because it's not 100, right? It is 0 to 50 and it is in the 50 mark. But it will give you, after you have paid enough of your karma towards that bad karma effects, it is going to give you some relief in this second half of life. That's what is my practical analogy. And I have studied this in certain books as well. And then I have come to this type of conclusion. And I always believe in applying it and studying on my own clients. Whenever I do consultation, I learn a lot of things which none of the textbooks can give me. You know, that's my honest opinion about doing more consultations. You will learn more. More you talk with people, the more you learn. Yeah. So that's the part of it. So that's the thing. Now we understood what is Chiron doing in the 5th house. We talked about XYZ as well. And now let's touch a little bit about Rahu and Ketu, and then a little bit about Mars in the 7th house. Okay. So any other planets we need to see other than these? Venus happens to be in the 3rd house. Okay.
Planet
It is
C.
neutral.
Planet C we have to cover.
Planet Z, we didn't talk about it. You are right. You are right. See, beautiful. See, what is happening to this man again? 12th Lord goes to the 7th house. There is a connection between 12 and 7 for this man. What does it mean? See, Planet Z is all about communication. It's all about occupying a stage, right? So the people with a very good position of Planet Z likes to communicate something to this world. They want to demonstrate or show something. They have an inherited talent in them, and they have some resource. They want to share it to the world, right? So here, this person is having the Planet Z in the 7th house of others, right? He wants to say something to others. He wants to communicate definitely something to others. And what is that he wants to communicate? He wants to communicate something about the 12th house, correct? Am I making sense here? So 12th Lord exalted in the 7th house shows that this man has a strong message of spirituality to the other people. He wants to communicate. So 12th house represents what? It also represents foreign lands. It represents losses. 12th Lord getting exalted means it also gives tremendous losses to the person in one way or the other. But as a benefic, what happens? This person is born in Kanya Rashi, Kanya Lagnam. That means Virgo ascendant. Virgo is an earthy sign. It doesn't move. Okay. The planet Moon is that is his mind. Okay. We always represent Moon for the mind. Chandramam Manaso Jataha. The mind is ruled by Moon. So when the person's Moon is in a movable sign, that is Aries sign, this person wants to move around. He wants to travel across the world and he wants to communicate his message. But he's stuck with his Lagna in the fixed sign. So there is the Lagna wants to, the ascendant wants to sit in his homeland, comfort in the homeland, and he wants to spread the message. So what is the best way? The best way is used to use the media, because Planet Z represents media, right? All the social medias, whatever you are talking about, movies, whatever communication way is through Z only. Planet Z, being the 12th Lord, makes him to communicate to the world, okay, using some social media. Like for example, I'm now sitting in Singapore, I'm communicating to the whole world through my YouTube channel. So like that, this person may use certain channels or some media to pass on his message to the world, because Pluto is very dominant in his chart in the 12th house. So whatever is the 12th house that he has learned, he wants to talk to other people. 7th house represents others. So a very strong connection between the two exalted planets in the 12th house and 7th house makes him to communicate and pass on a lot of good messages to the world in one way or the other, right? So he can do this sitting at the comfort of his own homeland. That's what is the significance of Z getting exalted, and he loves his wife like anything. His wife, 7th house is the partner, right? So somehow or the other, when this man is down, the 12th house is down, right? The person's wife is going to uplift him, support him, because the spirituality of this 7th house comes to his comfort in the 2nd house. So he values his wife's relation in one way or the other. Both of them will collaborate each other, support. They may have differences of opinion, but when it comes to a person's tendency to have a downfall, the partner is going to uplift him. That's what is the planet Z's exaltation in Pisces. It's in the 20 degrees, close to the end of, the active portion, that is between 10 and 20 degrees. The Yuva Avastha of a planet will be there, according to classical astrology, right? So this planet Z is very active for this man. And so he will do, before he passes away from this world, he has a big mission to accomplish, and he will accelerate that and use planet Z to communicate to the masses, for sure. So, any questions on this planet Z?
That's a point, yeah. No. You mentioned about in this case, support between husband and wife, etc. Does this have any significance? Because I see in this horoscope, Mars is in the 7th house.
Yes. He has the Savai Dosham. In Tamil, we call it as Savai Dosham. So Savai Dosham is very strong there.
But,
Eighth
I
Lord.
understand it as Manglik.
Manglik Dosha. Correct.
7th house Manglik. So, what is the significance of a Mars in this particular horoscope? I feel.
Okay.
Because.
Right. It's another.
Mars is the 8th house. It's 8th in the 7th. It's neutral, it's black. So it's not debilitated or exalted.
It's not debilitated. I hope we are done with planet Z now, right? So it's very clear. Okay. So I wanted to finish the Z there. So finally, before this man, I will come to Mars now. I will go in detail with Mars. The planet Z's mission is very clear. He has a message of 12th house to pass on to others. That's all. In one line, I can conclude that he's going to pass on a very beautiful message because it's excelled planet Z. So this centaur is going to make him communicate very well about spirituality to the rest of the world. Okay, number one. Number two.
And it is and it is exalted in Pisces.
Pisces, which happen. I'm coming to that only, and that happens to that Lord of Pisces happens to come to the 2nd house also. So that means he values that spirituality in a very strong way. So, which is a very good thing for this man, okay? And these are all the symptoms that we are seeing that this person is going to accelerate his journey towards moksha, okay? So, many people talk about Ketu in the 12th house gives moksham. That is also possible, okay? I am not going to the subcharts and things like that. I'm just talking about the main natal charts. If you see our classical astrology, we have so many types of charts here, subcharts, okay? So we can always go through so many things. There is a thing, if the time of birth is very accurate, we can even go for Shashti Amsha chart. So that is called D60. So right from D2 to D60, we have so many subdivisional charts, okay? And I'm not going into all those details at all because the Greenstone Lobo'S outer planets gives a lot of importance to planet XYZ and then Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, which gives us very, very clear picture already, so that we don't have to even go to these subdivisional charts to see the micro details. You know, I'm not saying these are bad. These are extremely good. I have been using this for years already now. But now, once I got into Greenstone Lobo's concepts, I am trying to fully see the results in this chart itself. Everything is seen in this chart itself. You know, that's the thing. Now, let's come back to your question of Mars.
You know, before Mars, you had one more point, I think. You said two things. One, you were talking about the 12th.
Yeah. The second point was that the Lord of that house is exalted. Right? The spiritual house of 7th house of Pisces, the Lord also is exalted.
The 12th Lord Z is exalted.
12th Lord Z is exalted, and the 7th Lord Neptune is also exalted. So these two is having a very strong connection, and the 7th house happens to be the deepest spiritual house, and it's a moksha karaka zodiac sign also. So that's the beauty of this horoscope, right? So let's come back to this Savai Dosham or Mars in the 7th. Please understand why we call it Savai Dosham or Manglik Dosha. Is this whenever Mars is like a soldier, you know, he is the he just acts, go to the war, and he just wages the war. He cannot sit idle in the house, you know. He just fights his way out. So whatever the house that he sits in, he aspects the 7th aspect, and then 8th aspect, and then 4th aspect. So there are 3 aspects given to planet Mars. Sorry. What do I mean by that? Planet sits in the 7th house and sees the 2nd house. Right? So this is not a very good sign for the family, right? So it's like sometimes it will make you talk in such a way that the spouse gets annoyed, and there will be a lot of friction between husband and wife. Okay, and it aspects the lagna itself, so that gives you some short temperament and all that. But luckily, this person has Jupiter there to control the Mars. See, Jupiter is the minister and Mars is the soldier. Always Mars listen to who? The minister, right? The mantri. Whatever the king or the message from the king is communicated by the minister to the commander-in-chief of the soldier, he has to follow, because king's message has come through ministers, right? So minister guru, okay, goes and tells Mars to calm down. And that's why this marriage has been still going on afloat. If not, there would have been a lot of friction in the marriage of this person. You get my point? So always the drishti of Guru or the Jupiter is very, very important. Is very, very important for success of a marriage. If at all it aspects the 7th house, means it's a very, very blissful situation. Somehow, whenever there is fights between the husband and wife or misunderstand between the husband and wife, somehow they will calm down, they understand later, and they collaborate with each other. I'm not saying that they are very much bonded together. There will be some frictions for sure. Mars will not give an easy married life, okay? But they know that this is not required anymore. They will calm down their egos in such a way that they can stay together back again. And all that is neutralized by Jupiter's direct impact on Mars. You can even see the angles. Jupiter is at 6 degrees 54 minutes and Mars is at 10 degrees. So it is in that radar of Jupiter. So Jupiter comes down this Mars very much. And please understand, Mars is the 8th lord sitting in the 7th house. So there will be some fights, some health issues after marriage for both husband and wife. 8th house is related to the health as well. Okay, so that's the point here. And so
means, I just wanted to say something, which means if I see from in this particular horoscope, if Jupiter wasn't in the 1st house,
yes,
then the marriage could have been
that would have been a big issue for sure, because the 8th house is also a lot of litigations and things can come between the spouses, right?
So the 8th connection of Mars will remain and Jupiter will not be there in the 1st house. Then it becomes different.
Then it becomes very different. That is why in the astrology, we should always take the overall picture. We cannot just see one planet and get scared of it, right? So there are certain pacifiers like Jupiter and Venus. If Venus happens to also look into Mars, it is going to neutralize its bad.
So in this horoscope, Jupiter is playing a very pivotal role.
Very, very pivotal. Look at this. And he must have got a very beautiful child here because of Jupiter's drishti on 5th house. And unfortunately, there would be some disappointment because of Chiron. We didn't cover that actually. 5th house also represents not only education, it also represents your children, right? So this person must have got some disappointment related to 5th house of children as well. Okay, even though it is there, the Jupiter's drishti may not save completely this child. It may be a very spiritual child, but this may give some disappointments. You get my point? A big centaur like Chiron staying there in the 5th house also can bring some problems related to this. Why? Because look at Saturn. Saturn would have even delayed. Saturn has 3rd house aspects. There are 3 drishtis for Saturn as well. Saturn has 3rd house aspect, 7th, which is a very default one. Another one is 10th house. So wherever Saturn is sitting, he aspects the 3rd house, and he must have got a very delayed child. The child itself must have come in the family very late. And then that child must be a very spiritual child because of Jupiter's very strong impact on the 5th house. But the Chiron being the negative factor there would have given some disappointment with respect to the child. That's what I can talk about it at this point of time. You get my point? So the aspects play a very, very important role in astrology. So we cannot just go by green and red and black, and we have to add on a lot of additional things from classical astrology. Then you get an overall picture about the horoscope, right? So timing of events and all, we talked about it. He is going through what dashas and all that for timing of events. And we are not still given anything about Pluto, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto for dashas and antardashas, because maybe they are too far away and their planetary orbiting time around the sun is too huge. Pluto takes 250 years. It is impossible to, even for Mr. Greenstone Lobo, to come out with the factors of dasha, antardasha for Pluto, right? That's the reason I think he is very silent on dasha, antardasha for outer planets. Even for XYZ, he has not defined anything so far, but he covers them beautifully in Gochara Phalam, right? So whatever is going on in the zodiac right now, if you plot a horoscope with a unanimity like you, we can see that.
No, Gochara Phal, you mean is transits?
Transit results. Sorry, transit results, yes. So we can use Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and planet XYZ for transit results. Maybe their transit itself is so slow, they stay more than 5 years, 10 years, 15 years in a house. We should use transits itself as dasha, antardashas. That's what I'm trying to interpret from the Greenstone Lobo's concepts, because none of his videos has spoken anything about dashas and antardashas so far. That's a beautiful question to ask him, but I think he may also need to do a lot of research work on that, as the time period is too long for Pluto, Uranus, and all that. Even Uranus takes 85 years. Neptune takes 145 years, 150 years, and then Pluto is 250. It's too long to come to any conclusion, because our span is very limited. Okay, let's stick to the...
One more thing. Is there this Venus-Sun conjunction in the third house? Does it mean anything? Any implication?
Venus and Sun conjunction. Oh, certainly. See, always Venus, Sun, Mercury, all this moves together most of the times. But when Venus comes in very close contact with Sun, we say Venus gets combusted. Okay, so look at Venus. It is just a very young Venus. It is just entering Scorpio. It was most of the time, literally, if you see our, this one, okay, it has moved. It has moved. They are in the, so Bhava Chalita chart. It has moved already. So the Sun is not even, I was talking about in the beginning of the discussion, Bhava Chalita Kundali chart, right? So you must understand that Sun and Venus are not in the same house actually. When you make ascendant as 0, and from there you split 15-15 and make a ascendant Rashi. So from there, when you see, Sun goes to the 4th house already. Sun is not actually in the 3rd house for him, because look at the ascendant angle. Ascendant is at 10 degrees. So there are 20 more degrees to cover in Virgo itself. So what we do, we make that 10 degrees as 0. Right, that is the origin point for Virgo ascendant, and then we are going to add 15-15 for that 10. So from there we build a Rashi, and then we look at the positions. Here the Sun is actually at a very fag end of Scorpio, so I can see no connection between the burning effect or the combustion effect of Sun and Venus. Sun is actually placed in Sagittarius already. That means in the 4th house already. I don't want to use the word Sagittarius. It is not in the 3rd house. It is already in the 4th house. So Sun goes to 4th house. Venus is in the 3rd house for this person. So there is no question of divorce and separation from the wife. There may be some misunderstanding, of course, but when the Venus gets close combustion with the Sun, in this case, it is not combusted. Whenever it happens, I'm saying, there will be a lot of problems between husband and wife. The juice of happiness of marriage is Venus. And when it comes in close conjunction, let us say plus minus 3 degrees of Sun, we say the married life will be very tough for the couples. So in this case, it is not so. They had a marital happiness. They have a good marriage, even though there is some frictions because of Mars in the 7th house and all that 8th Lord in the 7th house effect. But still, the couple will live together until the end. You get my point? That's what is the significance of Sun and Venus. Yeah, that's a beautiful question that you have asked. So you are asking all important questions, sir. Wonderful. You have a very good knowledge. Who said you are not a learner? You are wonderful.
No, I am. I'm still an ardent student.
Okay, so
there's one more point.
Yes,
one more point. Ketu in the ninth house.
Ketu in the ninth house spoils the relation with the father. This man cannot vibrate well with the father's frequency. So father's expectation will be something else, or he cannot match. Sometimes he may not like his father's nature also. Yeah, that's all we can say. And sometimes, there will be some fights or heated arguments. Mostly what happens wherever Ketu sits in our house, we are going to sacrifice that house, right? So he will let his father's argument win, and maybe he will just go out in another place. They may not be in the same shelter. They may not stay in the same house. So when they stay in the same house, there will be a lot of clashes, ego clashes, and a lot of hot discussions with the father will be there. And I already see that in the classical astrology, the sun is very far away from the man, because sun is in the deepest Elan-Koli position. The person is born in the midnight, right? So already the sun is shining on the other part of the world. So his father may be living in another place than him. Most of the time, maybe the mother takes the role of the father. And as the sun is in the fourth house of mother, you see, literally it is the fourth house. So he will be very close to his mother compared to the father. So he will not have much happiness from the Pitru. Pitru is not going to play a big role in this man's life. That's what I can say. Making sense?
Okay. And one more point. Mercury is the 10th lord debilitated in the 4th house.
Yes. So we don't, in classical astrology, we don't consider Mercury's debilitation in this, but Greenstone Lobo says yes, because it's called fall house according to Greenstone. So that means at one point of time, this man is going to, hey, where is Mercury, by the way? This is the chart, right? So I'm sorry. It is there in the 4th house. Yes, sorry. So this man is going to retire much earlier. 10th house is Tolil Sthanam. That means it's a professional house. So for some reason, this man has to retire much earlier. Okay, and he will be retiring much earlier from his work.
Because 10th house represents career.
We saw that in the continuous source of income line also. We saw that this man will not complete his profession, and he will have a lot of ups and downs. He would have changed few places and things like that. That's what.
When this person gave this horoscope to me along with the right palm, he was also keen in wanting to know something about international travels. Both in the palm, both in the palm as well as in the horoscope. He was, wanting to know. I mean, I couldn't.
Okay. I will cover that, and we will.
Can you just throw some light on this subject of
certainly
travels, both in the horoscope and in the palm?
Okay, beautiful. I will cover that. Before that, I saw one more point here. You can see the Lagnadhipati Y goes and gets its debilitation point in 4th house, right? Let me drink some water. My throat is drying out.
Yeah. The ascendant Lord planet Y is debilitated in the 4th house in Sagittarius.
Yes, there is a very important point here to mention. 4th house represents our thoracic cavity. When you talk about Kalapurusha Kundli, I said, right, imagine a person right from the Aries. If you start counting Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and the 4th house represents your thoracic cavity, which houses your lungs and heart. So when you have a Lagnadhipati debilitated in the 4th house, okay, the person can have a heart problem in the later stage of his life. So he will have some connection, some ailments related to 4th house. So keep note of this, and you can inform this person. So he has to be very cautious. This could be a genetic problem also that this person may receive.
How do you know it's a genetic problem? What is
because it is Lagnam. Lagnadhipati himself. Lagnam is really what is your shariram, your body. Whatever you took from this planet Earth, your body is formed through this planet only. Only your soul takes this temporary body, okay, temporary house. Vadige veedu, we call it in Tamil. So adana idu. So when you see the position of that owner, that means your Lagnadipati sits in the 4th house of debilitation. So that means it is going to give a weaker thoracic cavity. There will be some kind of an ailment in thoracic cavity, which could be the final reason for his departing of the soul from the body. Just take note of it.
That also there.
Yes.
Means his final departure.
The soul departs through the problems created through the thoracic cavity. So it could be even lungs also. For example, if a person is an addict of smoking, I have seen this happening in the horoscopes of people who smoke, and they will have lungs related problem. If the person is not a smoker, then it could be heart problem. So it is the thoracic. 4th house represents our thoracic cavity, which houses both lungs and heart.
So if I have to just summarize these 2 points, does it mean that the ascendant lord planet Y being debilitated in the 4th house in Sagittarius means problems in the thoracic or the lung, whatever the case may be, and it's hereditary?
It could be inherited from the, for example, his father might have passed away using having the similar kind of a thing. Possible. Perhaps even the mother.
And also it indicates departure from the world with these 2
through that ailment. Exactly. That is where the Lagna sits. Right? So that's a very
because it is connected with the ascendant. That's why.
Exactly. You go and explore any textbook, you will not get it. It is through my personal experience. These are all I have seen. It has happened to one of my clients in these years. So I would have noted down these points. So whenever I do these charts, I will always save all their horoscopes in my hard drive, and then I will put it in the cloud, because every consultation is a learning textbook for me. Like as well said by Albert Einstein, what he says is experience is the mother of all sciences, right? So without experiencing, you will not, and the pramanam varad. Pratyaksham and pramanam both happens when you experience it. So textbook knowledges are all written by certain classical sages long time back, which they found which is correct at that point of time. But over a period of time, people like Greenstone Lobo has emerged, right? So not everything which was there 5,000 years ago or 10,000 years ago is 100% correct. So there is always a new research that keeps going on and on and on. We have to add up. The foundation is laid by our Parashara system, which is wonderful, right? So we have to build on it. Apply his concept, apply all the things given by Parashara system in classical astrology, apply everything, whatever Greenstone Lobo has taught us in modern astrology. And then when you amalgamate and put it in practice, you will see the wonderful knowledge that you will gain. That's why I will always say, the more you know, the more you don't know. That's the right direction in which you are going. Finally, that's the right thing to do. All right, so we have covered everything.
And about international travels.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, all the international travels. In fact, I had made a beautiful video about this, because many of the clients keep asking, will I settle in the local place where I have born, motherland, or will I travel abroad? Will I go for any pilgrimages? All that is covered in that video. So I will just give
what are we saying? In this horoscope as well as in the palm.
Yes, palm also. So let's start with the palm, because it's very interesting. I have a picture itself. I will share with you. It's a beautiful knowledge to share. I have a picture which talks about foreign settlements, okay, and then foreign lines. Okay, I don't know.
And you can maybe synchronize it with the photo.
Yeah, we will do that. We will do that right away. I think I should give you the basic theory first to start with. Okay, so whatever navagrahas that we saw, okay, in the horoscope is already in the palm. Okay, so this is what we see in our palm. So whatever the navagrahas that we see in our horoscope is right there in our palm as well. So this is Jupiter, this is Saturn, this is Sun, These are all the mounts that is given by our sages. We know this by heart. Okay. Now, I have highlighted only the moon here because the moon is going to give the Chandra Parvatam, it is called. It is going to give us the indications of long distance journeys. Okay. The journeys can be like a permanent settlement, or it can be a foreign travel for a pilgrimage purpose, or it can be for any temporary situation. All that journey lines, mostly we give importance to the Chandra Parvatam, right here. Now, let's go back to another, okay, this is another one. Let me just bring into, okay, this one. Even settlement abroad is seen beautifully through these zones. Even the Chandra Parvatam, we can divide it into 3 portions, right? So which part of the country, which part of the world the person travels? Actually, this Asia must be somewhere here, okay? And below is Australia and New Zealand. If you see a strong, deep line somewhere in the bottom third of the person's hand, he may go to Australia and New Zealand. And if that journey line continues and just connects with the main lifeline, the person may permanently settle down in that country. The line in this second portion, he may go to countries like Singapore or Japan or Indonesia or any Asian countries. For example, even India. If a man is born in United States and he travels to India, Asia and settles down, that line also can be seen here. So all the Asian countries and the South Asian countries can be seen in this slot. And above this, you can see the Northern Hemisphere comes into picture. It's something like, imagine a globe here, and you can see the countries and the continents. Further up north you go, you can see them. So you can see, if I have seen this particularly for many of my clients who settle down in Europe or US, they have a very strong line here, and that gets connected to the lifeline in some way or the other. All right. So that's what you need to see. And then if the lifeline, fate line, which I told you, the continuous source of income line also comes from the mount of moon. Also, it indicates that person may travel for his settlement there in the foreign lands and things like that. Okay. So now with this background, we will go to the palm picture that you had sent to me for your friend. Okay. Let's go and see this. So this man, I'm not sure this bottom portion is cut off here. It doesn't matter. So I guess there is no much lines here. But this man has got a strong line here. What does it indicate? What type of line is this? Okay. And then there is a line which is getting cut off here. Let me just move this. Okay. And there is a small journey line here as well. And it didn't connect fully to the fate line. Okay. So that means this journey line is definitely there. Okay. Journey line is no doubt it is there. It may even go towards Europe and things like that. But he may eventually come back to the motherland where he is born, right? He may not go and settle down there. And this journey, let me zoom in further. Okay, you can see this. There is a cutoff here, right? This also tries to cut this off. So he may not go for work. He may just go for certain spiritual journeys and things like that. Because you look at what is there in the 9th house for this man. He has got 9th Lord in the 9th house. 9th house is all about higher belief system and pilgrimages and long distance journeys and things like that. So in the later half of the life, he may get a chance to go and spread the knowledge of spirituality to the foreigners, for example. It is possible. But it will be towards the end of the life. Why? Because this is not connected to the joining to the lifeline. It's not professional thing. It may be certain spiritual journey he may go through it. It needs a lot of effort and support. Remember, I was talking about the ascendant being especially in this one, the ascendant being in the fixed sign. So he has a lot of desire. See, being a Mesha Rashi or the Aries moon sign person, he will have tremendous desire to travel. He will be moving around. He won't be stationed in one place. But his Lagna is not going to allow him to go frequently out of the jurisdiction of India. For example, he's born in India, right? This is New Delhi. So he may not go out of the jurisdiction of India for business purpose or trading purpose or job purpose and things like that. And then look at his Lagna Lord also. It goes and sits in the fourth house of motherland again. So he may have a journey, maybe 1 or 2 places he may go, and then he will eventually return back. That's all I can say about his foreign trips.
Do you think I had sent you 3 pictures? Do you think you will get a better view of the palm, the full palm, out of the other 2? Can you have a look out of the 3 that I sent you on WhatsApp?
Sure. Let me just check your WhatsApp. If I have a better picture, go for a minute. So you must have got it to me. It must be in your WhatsApp, right? Yeah. So this one has got a much better picture, I guess. Let me see which one is the good one we can take. So out of the 3, I think the best one is this one, right? So this should be the best one.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can see that there is some kind of a line in the southern hemisphere also. So this person has a chance to go to southern hemisphere. He may have a chance to go to Australia or New Zealand or something like that. But it's not related to life. That means it is not connected to lifeline. But he may have a journey. He may get a chance. For sure. So he has got 2, right? One is to the European country, another one is to the southern hemisphere. So out of the 2, which one may come first, we do not know. But he will get a chance to go there.
And more for his spiritual pursuits.
100%. It's only spiritual journey. Look at his continuous source of income line. He has denied already. It is stopped, right? It has stopped doing anything for commercial purpose. It's all spiritual things for this man.
So it looks like in totality, this seems to be an exalted spiritual path.
That's all. This man should be having an accelerated growth towards exhausting all his bad karmas of his past lives in one life itself. He must have suffered a lot. He is not materialistically very happy man, but he has, of course, you look at, there is one thing called money triangle. Okay, I didn't, there's a lot of topic to cover in 1 hour schedule. I don't think we can cover all the points, but there is a money triangle which is half fulfilled. You can see the fate line is cut off there. Otherwise, you could have been a very rich man also. He had a company of good people to work hard and make money also. But somehow his fate line give way here. So he is not a man who is born to make and amass wealth and things like that. That's why even though a very strong money triangle is there, he could not get into all those stocks and shares and make money and all that, because his fate line is broken here. It didn't complete that money triangle. You get my point? So anyway, let's conclude this way. The most dominant of all the planets is Eagle Avatar of Pluto. This is a very classical example of what Greenstone Lobo preaches about Pluto, and it has transformed this man's life. And I'm very sure that this person will have this as the last birth, and he has a lot of message to convey to the world about spirituality. That's all I can conclude about this chart. It's a wonderful horoscope, yeah.
I think it's, you analyzed it.
Definitely. Very nice. So it was wonderful talking to you, and we can always continue our weekly sessions like this, and we will take another interesting chart in the next week. And even we can do matchmaking between, for example, this is the husband. You say you have another chart for his wife also. We can do a matchmake between the two and see how they fare well. And then towards the life journey, how they collaborate each other, partner each other, and achieve the common goals. That can be seen as well. All right. Wonderful.
I think a great session.
So it was a wonderful time talking to you, and I feel very blessed to get your contacts, and I think it should be some divine which is connecting us for sure.
Really fortunate to have your association and with the kind of knowledge that I'm having as a student, though limited, but I was able to ask a few things based on Greenie's learnings.
Yes. We are all seekers, sir. There is no perfect. We are all students, and we are here to learn more and more, and we can learn.
When you said about that quote, I remember one quote of Jawaharlal Nehru.
Acha, okay.
The more you know.
Yes.
How little you know, and how much to be learned.
True. 100% true. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for joining tonight. Okay, bye-bye. Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Bye.